Right now, though, I want to talk about an app that we've covered before on the show, but probably even more relevant now. It's called Nextdoor. On the line, we've got Christopher Doyle. He is the country manager here in Canada for Nextdoor. Thanks for joining us, Christopher.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I bet you're getting a lot of traffic now.
We really are. We really are. Yes, it's been quite incredible to see, actually.
Christopher, tell our listeners again what Nextdoor is all about.
Yeah, for sure. So Nextdoor is the neighborhood hub online. So our stated purpose is to cultivate kindness and ensure everyone has a neighborhood that they can rely on. And that's our mission and our stated purpose on a regular day. So you can only imagine when a crisis hits, like we've seen with COVID-19, how it's even that much more important that the people closest to us, that we know them, first of all, and that those most vulnerable have an opportunity to connect with them to get the help that they need. So we've seen some really sharp increases in the usage of Nextdoor as neighbors really try and help each other out in times of crisis.
Explain to listeners how they get signed up for this if they're not part of Nextdoor yet.
So basically, we encourage people to download the app, which most people do, or our website at nextdoor.ca does it as well. And when you go there and download the app, we ask you for your address and postal code. And what that does is actually connects you to your neighborhood. So Nextdoor is all designed around the local neighborhood that you live in. So it will connect you to your neighborhood immediately. What we love about it so much is that, especially in times of crisis like now, it's a really trusted and safe environment because it's a 100% verified system. So we verify that you are who you say you are online. So that leads to a lot of, in times of crisis, it really helps to know that you have a neighbor to rely on down the street, for example, but also just makes it a much more trusted and safe place. So basically, you go to your neighborhood there, and we've set up different tools all around the neighborhood. Again, like I said, on a normal day, we have these tools enabled, and then we're actually have moved really quickly to enable new tools for people to get the help that they need during the COVID-19 crisis.
And what kind of tools would that be?
One that we just launched is called the Help Map. And like I said, like Nextdoor is a platform where you could go there today or any other day before the crisis hit, and you could have, asked a question. And a typical question is around, a lot of like service recommendations, like, can anyone recommend a plumber that I could use? What we found during the crisis was that there were so many people offering help on our platform. We actually saw 17 times more people asking and offering help on the platform. So we wanted to make it easier for the most vulnerable and the most in need to get the help that they needed closest to them. So the help map actually allows you to do that. So you can go to the help map once you're logged into Nextdoor, and you can state what types of things you are willing to help a neighbor with. So that might mean, hey, I'm willing to go and pick up groceries for someone who may have just been traveling internationally. And that's actually an actual use case that we've seen in Canada. And you can say, yeah, I'm willing to go and pick up some groceries and drop them off in a safe way. So that's one example. So now what this does is it allows people who are in need, and this might be people who are elderly, it might be people who have traveled internationally, it might be people who are just feeling really, really isolated because they are self-isolating or quarantined. They can actually go to that and see who most close to me can offer help. And then they can message them in a safe way and just say, hey, I could really use some help. So to us, it was really important that we made it easy for people in need to get help, because, they might not feel comfortable posting something on the feed. So this really made them feel safer.
One thing that I like is, because I just signed up for this a little while ago, I literally just got my postcard yesterday. I'm covering out the code in my neighborhood, but basically this gets physically sent to you to sort of really validate who you are. And so you're not just getting some random person from across the world in these conversations. So I think that's really good too. And, at least for now, the Postal Service is still operating. So at least you have that verification level if their people aren't already in there. And even since I signed up, I've seen a number of other people just in my little complex and neighborhood sign up as well. So people are definitely looking for tools like this, which is great.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's like the number one way we see people verify their accounts is just as you did, John, they requested the postcard in the mail, and I think it usually supposed to arrive within 5 days. Hopefully that was the case here, usually three to 5 days. And you get that. And to me, I love that because it's a high degree of verification at that point, right? So it's like you are who you say you are. You can join the neighborhood in a safe way. And to your point around the local connections, the other tool that we just enabled, it was in beta, but we saw so many people creating groups like COVID-19 aid groups. And so we've actually enabled groups live all across Canada now. So, and we've seen so many groups form. I know there's one in my neighborhood specifically, just neighbors who want to help, right? So it's a way that we can prioritize that in the feed again to make sure that they're working together to help people.
I actually have faith in humanity again. I've been using the Nextdoor app for a while, and
Yeah.
it's been pretty good. One of the reasons I joined it, obviously after talking with you, is that the verification process is excellent. Right, you're not going to have a bunch of weirdos trying to pretend they're part of your neighborhood. But on top of that, the security thing was a big thing for me because we were getting a lot of break-ins in my driveway into my cars and stuff. And we were actually able to connect with a bunch of other neighbors that were having similar problems and then communicate that to the local police detachment here. And it helped reduce a lot of that. But I just love the fact I'm getting these messages from Nextdoor, and people are just helping people. Like you said, getting groceries or whatever, even down to where toilet paper is. Safeway just got some toilet paper in, half an hour ago. Get your butt down there quickly. So I love that. So my question too is, like, we've got Facebook. How do you feel this differs from Facebook?
I like to say that I think the reason why a platform was created really sets the tone for how you communicate on it, right? And there's no doubt like that Nextdoor was designed specifically to connect you with your neighbors, just as you described, right? And in a safe and a trusted way. So to me, that's the number one difference. Like, we talk about the different social platforms out there and why you might use one over the other, right? And probably we use all of them for different reasons. And Nextdoor is really the one to connect with your neighbors in a safe and trusted way, whereas I think other platforms are created for different reasons. So that's the first thing that I think of. The second one really is that verification component. So, it's a higher degree of trust, just as you both described, really, when you know that you do live in the neighborhood, and we go through great pains to verify people. And so you just can't join. It's also private to your neighborhood. So it's not like I could Google your neighborhood and see like what are people talking about and what are the conversations. So it is private to your neighborhood. So to me, those are the two major differences. I think like the tool set within Nextdoor is designed specifically for neighbors and to connect with neighbors. So when you think about the help map, we're able to do something like that based on proximity. So it's less about, oh yeah, I was already on this platform because, my friends and family are already on here. It's more about, no, I want to connect to my community, and the conversations that I'm having are facilitated through Nextdoor as this neighborhood hub. So, and that's on a regular day. That includes like things like for sale and free, which is a specific section on Nextdoor. Safety, neighborhood safety, as you mentioned, is a big one for us. And now we see, I think it's really heightened the need for Nextdoor, because you can see just at the end of the day, you're going to need your neighbors to support you. We're going to have to support each other, right? And so that's really what Nextdoor is all about.
How difficult would you say it is for someone to get signed up for this? We have a lot of elderly people listening to the show as well. They're not as, technically savvy. Is it fairly straightforward for them, do you think, to get signed up and get involved?
It is pretty easy to download the app and go to the website. And as I said, sort of punching in your postal code and address, and then we're connecting you to your neighborhood. There are the verification options, as you mentioned, where you can get a postcard and have it sent to your house. I think that's something, like, even I went through that process when I joined. It's like, oh yeah, you get the postcard. You're like, yes, I got to remember, I've got to punch that in, right? So there is a step. Like, we're not like other platforms in that sense, where it's just like sort of, it's a little bit more instant. And this is on purpose because we want to make sure that you are who you say you are, and you are in the right neighborhood, and you're connected to your community. So, but I think from a technical standpoint, I think it's fairly simple when you, as I view it, when you go in, and the form is fairly simple to punch in. There's not many more steps beyond sort of inputting that information that takes you to your neighborhood. But I think that's part of what we're doing right now, is making sure that the most vulnerable out there know that Nextdoor is such a valuable resource, because I think, we want to make sure that we're getting to everyone. There are a lot of people who are feeling more vulnerable and more isolated than normal, right? Who may have already been in a vulnerable situation. And, one of the things we're working on with our community leads, so I should have mentioned too, that Nextdoor has leads of the neighborhoods. And these are people who are really caretakers of their communities, and they love kind of helping people and using Nextdoor, right? And we've been talking with them about, how do I identify these people? I know I've seen the conversation in my neighborhood. How do I identify these people how do we connect them to the help that we know is available on Nextdoor, right? So that's what the help map app is designed to do. But to your point, we also need to tell people to make sure that they're going to sign up and get connected to their neighborhood, because we all need a neighborhood to rely on right now. And again, that might be something as simple as, I just returned from travel and I really need some essentials. Or in another case, we had someone who just needed their mail to be picked up. Things like that, right? And that's where it's great to know someone down the street that can help with that.
I equate Nextdoor, after using it for a little while now, kind of like where my mailbox is for my complex. We have a little bulletin board, and it's kind of like a bulletin board for your community that's hyper local and hyper specific to any specific needs. And I actually just saw on my bulletin board here, beside my mailbox, there was some local folks in the complex offering to do things like you just said that are in Nextdoor, and not everyone has a bulletin board beside their mailbox. So this is the perfect digital equivalent of that, and that's really how I think about Nextdoor now.
Yeah, that's a great point. I was just going to say too, especially with the physical distancing that's been going on, and as a necessity to keep everyone safe, that we can't gather in person. I think too that has kind of come to life more than ever before, where it's like, who can help and how do I connect them in a digital way, which I think has really kind of become like illuminated now, right?
We're talking with Christopher Doyle. He's the country manager for the Nextdoor app. If you don't have this app, it's time to download it now. Gets you in touch with your real neighbors in your neighborhood, and it's especially important for a lot of the neighbors that might need some help. Thanks for joining us, Christopher.
Thanks for having me. Take care.